نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون. Respectful honored friends, in last week's tafsir, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mentioned the happenings of the day of resurrection. That وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَإِذَا هُمْ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ إِلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَنْسِلُونَ. That when the trumpet will be blown and people will rush to their Rabb from their graves. قَالُوا يَا وَيْلَنَا مَنْ بَعَثَنَا مِنْ مَرْقَدِنَا. And they will say, woe be to us, who has awakened us from our graves. So I've been described the day of resurrection. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from Inna ashab al-jannati al-yawma fi shughlin fakihun mentioned some of the bounties or the plight of the jannatis, of what enjoyment they will be on the day of Qiyamah. Have you mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the verses recited now, Allah ta'ala mentions the plight of those who do not have Iman. Allah Ta'ala says, وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ, and today separate yourselves, أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ, O criminals. This will be proclaimed, and on the day of Hashr, when every creation will be resurrected. So the believers and the disbelievers, they'll all be gathered at that time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will then say, or the call will be, وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ, meaning separate yourselves, so that it will be clearly distinguished that who are the believers and who are the non-believers. Today, ayyuhal mujrimun, O criminals. So this is the title that will be given to those who do not have Iman, that they are the mujrims, they are criminals. And they will be separated from the believers. So the believers will be in an area, in a specific place, where it will be known that, look, these are the believers. And then when they will be separated, and of course they will be very displeased to be in the position that they will be, in the direction where they will be. That's when it will be said to them that Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani Adam alla ta'budu ash-shaytan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. That Alam ahad ilaykum, that O children of Adam, did I not emphasize upon you to not worship shaitan? Innahu lakum aduwwun mubin, he is certainly your open enemy. So when these mujrimun, the criminals, mean those who don't have iman, will be separated. And as I mentioned, they will be concerned and they'll be worried at that time, finding themselves in the condition that they are in. And this is the honor of the believers. And this is something that we need to remind ourselves that yes, for sure, here in this world, we face various difficulties and hardships. And Muslims are scorned, Muslims are humiliated, Muslims are oppressed. And there are many Muslims who think as well that look, they are in a plight, very backward plight. They are disadvantaged. But that is here in this world. In the hereafter, we will see exactly who are those who are advanced and who are those who are not advanced. Who are those in a better position and who are those who are not in a position. So here is a case of, it doesn't matter. Whatever the case may be here, it is the akhirat that matters the most. हम ऐसे रहे या वैसे रहे, वहाँ देखना है कैसे रहे. Here it doesn't matter how we live, it is where how we live there, how and what plight we will be in the hereafter. It is that matters the most. So the believers in the day of Qiyamah will know who is, and even from the believers there will be different groups in that as well. Whether those who follow the deen, and those who follow the deen, those believers, Muslims who don't follow the deen, say what? These people are backwards. These people are backwards. Because if one didn't, you're now in the 21st century and you're living in the Western world, why are you dressing the way you are? Why are you dressing the way you are? Go to so many Muslim countries, and there they don't like you to wear these wears, even in places like Saudi Arabia. They think that jabba is only their clothing, and if a Muslim wears Islamic clothing, you're not supposed to be wearing this. Is our cultural wearing. Why you're supposed to be wearing Western, you're supposed to be wearing Western clothing. So even Muslims will say to you that look, you backwards. Why you dress the way you are? So this is the day wherein we'll know who's backwards and who's forwards. Who's backwards and who's forwards. There it will be the opposite. Those who are backwards will be forwards. And those forwards will be right at the rear and back. So it is on the day of Qiyamah that we will know exactly who's in what position. So now when the separation will take place, then Allah Ta'ala will say, Alam ahadu ilaykum ya bani Adam, addressing everybody at that time and including those Muslims. Allah ta'abudu shaytan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. That was not emphasized to you that you should not worship shaitan. He certainly is your open enemy. Now the question arises here that not every disbeliever worships shaitan. Those who worship what they worship, there are those who are Satanists, yes. But not all are Satanists, there are others who do what? They worship different gods, different deities, and they'll have what they believe, but they'll say, we do not believe in shaitan anyway. So there's no contradiction here. Because it is shaitan himself who encouraged to worship other gods besides Allah Ta'ala. So it all comes down to shaitan. So they may not be directly worshipping shaitan, but it is indirect worship of shaitan. That's why Allah Ta'ala will say, Allah ta'abudu shaitan. So there is no objection that they do, but we did not follow shaitan at all. And describing shaitan, Allah Ta'ala says, Innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. He is certainly your open enemy. Shaitan is not a secret enemy. Danger comes from who? From where you have an enemy who you do not know is your enemy. Because when you don't know that somebody is your enemy, then how are you going to save yourself from that person? You think that they're one of you, you're wrong. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He is certainly your open enemy. Already told us beforehand that shaitan is your open enemy, so Allah has already made us aware of it. And when shaitan is adu mubin, means that he will always want to mislead you, because he's not going to let any chance go whatsoever in order to mislead and misguide mankind. And this is the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah ta'ala has already warned us of shaitan. And clearly mentioned to us that he is adu mubin, that he is your open enemy. And when Allah ta'ala has already told us that he is our open enemy, and despite that we do not save ourselves from shaitan, then it just shows that how bad we are, how wrong we are, what our plight is. That we were warned of this enemy, but instead of staying away from this enemy, we, as you'll say, went to bed with the enemy. We became close friends with the enemy, and we became one with the enemy. وَنِعْبُدُونِي هَذَا صِرَاطٌ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. And it will be emphasized to them, told to them, and that you should worship only me. So Allah ta'budu shaitan, do not worship shaitan, but instead وَنِعْبُدُونِي, worship me. هَذَا صِرَاطٌ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. This is the straight path. And we are fortunate that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already put us on the straight path. And we need to continue making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah ta'ala keeps us on the straight path, so that we can be saved from this dialogue that will take place, this scenario, this stage, this scene that will take place on the day of Qiyamah. And this is by what? By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving us iman. We are brought up doing the dua ni'buduni. And those who are not, who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them hidayah, it was hadha siratul mustaqim. Who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved from the worship of shaitan and brought them into the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What a great honor this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hadha siratul mustaqim. What is the siratul mustaqim? Wa ni'buduni. To worship only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is Siratul Mustaqim. Worshipping Allah ta'ala with ascribing partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worshipping any other but Allah ta'ala, or everything but Allah ta'ala, this is not the straight path. Only worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the straight path. وَلَقَدْ أَضَلَّ مِنْكُمْ جِبِلًّا كَثِيرًا أَفَلَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْقِلُونَ. And continuing with shaitan, Allah Ta'ala says that the shaitan is who? He is the one who أَضَلَّ مِنْكُمْ. He has misled who? جِبِلًّا كَثِيرًا. A large group from you. Jibil means a group here. That he is who? He has misled a large group of you. أَفَلَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْقِلُونَ. Did you not have the intelligence? Meaning, did you not understand? Did you not understand and have the wisdom that you should not follow him? When you are warned and you have seen that so many are those who have been misled by shaitan, when so many have been misled by shaitan, then أَفَلَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْقِلُونَ. هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمُ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. The outcome of this ibadat of shaitan or not worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمُ. Allah Ta'ala says, this is Jahannam. الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. About which you were warned. Meaning that you were already warned with regards to Jahannam. That as a result, they'll now be subjected to the punishment of the fire of Jahannam. الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. And again, this is another great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already warned us. Allah ta'ala has already given us the glad tidings of Jannat, and Allah ta'ala has already warned us with regards to Jahannam. If Allah ta'ala hadn't, then that would have been too difficult for us as well, not knowing that look what lies in the hereafter. And why is it that a person lives a life in the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or lives a life in disbelief? Is because there is no concept of the hereafter. Because they do not believe in the hereafter, hence everything is but this world here. So you live this world how you want to live this world. And it is those who believe in the hereafter, they are the ones who are going to remain in check. Because whatever person does here, what do you do it for? You did it for that purpose. So look, what I do here, is it going to be of any benefit to me in the hereafter or not? Is this going to be rewarding for me or not? Is this going to be for my akhirat or not? This is how a believer thinks. So then whatever a believer does, that believer will do that for the sake of the akhirat. This dunya becomes his akhirat. And very fortunate are those who have made this dunya the akhirat. have made this dunya their akhirat. The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the tawfiq to do the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning that along with whatever dunya we may be acquiring and whatever we're doing with regards to dunya, along with that opportunity to do something for the akhirat, along with it is a great bounty of Allah ta'ala. And if Allah ta'ala gives a person the opportunity to make the entire dunya the akhirat, then what more? Just in some conversation, some just mentioning something, this is my business, this is my business, whatever lesson. And our business is the madrasa. Our business is our work, this is our work. Morning, evening, 24/7 is what? 24/7 is what? It is madrasa, masjid, madrasa, masjid, madrasa. So hopefully with this intention and this hope, that 24/7 is just what spending in dunya becoming our akhirat. Dunya becoming our akhirat, the whole dunya. From morning you wake up, it's akhirat. Right till the end is your akhirat as well. To that extent we've got the jalsa tomorrow. And there is especially the things that need to be done. And there are very some trivial things, small things that need to be done for the sake of the students. Whilst doing that yesterday, I even mentioned at home that let's hope inshallah, we're doing this as well, we'll be getting reward for this as well. This will be, the things that I mentioned, look, the things that we have to do. I was mentioning the type of things that we have to do for the occasion, for the sake of the students, And that hopefully this will also be what, this will be there on the mizan, this will be part of the reward on the day of Qiyamah. But alhamdulillah, we are not tight with this, we are not stingy with this. That we say, never mind, we'll take all the reward. We'll take all the reward. Although sometimes I think I will be taking all the reward, inshallah, because of the amount that I'd have to do. But alhamdulillah, we give you the opportunity as well, isn't it? So when we do have that opportunity of volunteering and opportunity of doing something, then this is also a chance, a good opportunity where we can make and take out some time of our dunya for the sake of our akhirat as well. Where certain hours or certain time of our dunya, our day may have just been dunya or nothing really much. Maybe we won't be doing anything, just on a weekend, sat at home, not doing anything either. So we're not really putting ourselves into any harm, but neither are we doing anything beneficial either. So this is a good opportunity for us to be able to get some few hours of extra reward packed in on a weekend. So this is great opportunity for us to be able to do these type of things. But who will understand these type of things? Who will take these type of things seriously? It is those who, of course, they're not playing in the holiday. It is those who have the akhirat in mind. And as I mentioned in Jummah today as well, that tomorrow's occasion is so auspicious. Occasion wherein Khatm of the Qur'an, du'as accepted. The completion of Sahih al-Bukhari, du'as accepted. So you got double decker here, double bill here, double option, double possibilities of du'as being accepted. And it is for the reason that people flock to Bukhari Khatam. And a lot of times when the Bukhari dars takes place as well, people may not even understand the dars, either because of the level of it being that of in a form of a lesson. People may not really understand that because they're not in that field of ilm. Or maybe it might be a case of language, that if it is in another language, in Urdu for instance, there will be many who may not understand the entire lesson dars. But despite that, people come and they'll sit for that entire 1 hour or so for the sake of what? They'll be there just for the sake of the occasion, the auspiciousness, and because they know that this is a time wherein du'as are accepted. There are many who at the occasion of the completion of Sahih al-Bukhari will give the dars as well in certain manner, wherein the general masses are very able to understand as well. And I remember as well from the various Bukhari khatams that we have, that whenever Mufti Sayyid Palampuri Rahmatullah Ali would give the dars, his dars would be one wherein it would be of a level that everybody could understand. A level that everybody could understand, meaning that it would be focused more upon who the general masses that are there, rather than just the students. So, you have occasions wherein the dars is of that level. And then there will be times wherein, like in the past when Shaykh Yunus Jaunpuri, rahimahullah ta'ala, when he would come for the Bukhari Jalsa as well, and you would find that the entire, in Darul Blackburn, the whole hall and the whole masjid, everything jam-packed. It will be totally jam-packed there. And Shaykh Yunus rahimahullah, he was a muhaddis after all. And his dars would be predominantly 80% for students and for ulama. And his dars would be that as well, that maybe from that 80% for ulama as well, not all 80% may be up and following it as well. That is how the dars would be. But the awam would sit there throughout, and it wouldn't be just 5-10 minutes, it would be a good hour or so. But the general masses would be sat there, they would still just be there anyway, irrelevant of how many bounces, but they would be sat there. This is why, because they all got the akhirat in mind. When people flock to stadiums, and from tomorrow, stadiums are going to become full again, isn't it? So, when people are flocking to those venues, to be there for 90 minutes of what? Dua is going to be accepted on the final whistle. You're going to make dua on the final whistle. You're going to get 90 minutes of ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if it goes in extra time, that means you'll get extra reward as well, extra sawab for that as well. But that is the type of things that we will give our time for, we'll have our interest in. Why? Because that is how that is enjoyable, that is what dunya is all about. So, we'll be inclined towards those type of things. But yes, tell a person that 90 minutes sit in the masjid. 90 minutes in the masjid, and that's going to be, what language is it going to be? What language is it going to be? And what time will it finish? So you tell somebody, just after 6, till? What time is it going to finish? That's what we want to know. What time is it going to finish? Till what time? So this is what our condition is, isn't it? So we want to know these type of things. And majority of the Jalsas programs we have, they have food afterwards. I never put food will be served after the program on any of our posters. It is there, people will be fed, but you don't put it there. Because for some people it's a case of, khana hoga ki nahi? That's the first thing they want to know, isn't it? Khana hoga ki nahi? If it is, that means, okay, chalo, ghar pe zaat chutti ho jayegi. The wives will be asking, khana hai ki nahi wapa? Bhai, kha ke aana. So he said, hey, like we can go and get a bit of entertainment in that sense, pass them time, and there'll be food as well. So, because these are those things which are for what? Not for dunya. It is for the sake of the akhirat. If just one such type of a program, jalsa, or not only that, but just simple, our sitting now in the Dars Qur'an, if this was sort of transformed in dunyavi points and rewards, the masjid would be jam-packed. People would be fighting with one another to get into the majlis, to get inside. That is how it would be. Like you have the huge crowds, for these type of entertainments and places, pushing and shoving and whatnot to get in. Why? Because for the sake of they don't want to miss that entertainment. If we knew the reward that Allah Ta'ala promises for us in these types of gatherings, then again it was, capacity. You wouldn't have the capacity to accommodate for anyone. But we don't value. We don't understand these type of things. Why? Because there isn't that consciousness of the akhirah. Example I gave in Jummah as well today. That when we have dars, look at our dars Qur'an. If there is masjid, may have dars hadith as well, Riyadus Salihin or some other dars. How many people will we have there in the masjid? And when Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi would give dars of his Bukhari, there would be thousands of people there. In the thousands. We're not talking about hundreds, few hundreds, we were talking a few thousands of people would attend what? The dars of hadith of Imam Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala. So just imagine, and it shows what? The desire that people had, the yearning people had for hadith. One incident, on one occasion Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi was a good archer as well. So he wasn't just an Imam of hadith, he was a good archer as well. On one occasion when he fired his arrow, it missed his target and it hit a pillar of a bridge. And that pillar, the bridge, belonged to a person. It was private property, private bridge. So because of that arrow hitting it, it's going to cause whatever damage. So Imam Bukhari was really disturbed by it. This was his taqwa as well, that not just hit and run case here. That whose is it, wanting to know whose it is, and he can compensate for it. On inquiring, when finding out that who it did belong to, and then when mentioning to that person this would happen, that person overlooked it and he forgave him. That's fine, don't worry, nothing to worry about. Because he was relieved from this, this person, he found who it belonged to, and the fact that this person forgave him as well, Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi was so pleased with it, that Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi gave him 300 dirhams. And 300 dirhams he could rebuild an entire bridge. Gave 300 dirhams and narrated 500 hadith to him. And narrated 500 hadith to him. Do a favor for somebody, or if you're selling a good or some goods or something, and somebody says to you, okay, look, I haven't got the money, but I'll narrate 10, 15, look, it's 15 pounds, I'll narrate 15 hadith to you. Jaya says, isn't it? You're crazy mad or what? What am I going to do with 15 hadith? This is how we react to it, isn't it? Or even still, okay, we pay them more than what is due. And we say to them as well, okay, here, you did this favor for me, this is your hadiyah for it, your reward for it. Some people when they buy something, or when they're going to buy something, they ask the silly question. And they say, iska kya hadiyah hai? They say, what is the hadiyah? Hadiyah means gift. They say, iska kya hadiyah hai? What is the gift for this? Yeah, iska hadiyah ye hai. Hadiyah is a gift. And a gift is one-sided. And something you sell is a transaction. And a transaction is not for free. It's not one-sided, it is two-sided. That somebody is selling something and you're going to give him something in return for it. So you don't give anything to somebody, that is not a gift. So when you buy something from somebody, that money that you're giving them, if it's for 10 pounds, the 10 pounds you give them is not a gift. You're not gifting them 10 pounds. You're paying them 10 pounds because you bought 10 pounds worth of good for them. So you don't ask them, iska kya hadiyah hai? You ask them straight, iske saman, what is the price of it? And not iska kya hadiyah hai? What hadiyah can I give for it? But hadiyah is for free, isn't it? Hadiyah is what? Hadiyah is, okay, this is 10 pounds, you give me 10 pounds. And now you give me a gift. Now you give me a gift separately. That's hadiyah, isn't it? You paid 10 pounds and you got your stuff. Hadiyah dena hi hai, now give me hadiyah separately, isn't it? And not say and ask, iska kya hadiyah hai? So overall, this is so that you don't make the same mistake and error as well. So if you give somebody and you say, by hadiyah mein jo hai, I'll give you what? I'll mention 10 masail to you. Or I'll mention 10 hadiths to you, or 20 hadiths to you. Never mind, we're not saying 500 at all. Never, not even 50 hadiths, 10 hadiths to you. Isn't it? Say that to somebody, I'll narrate 10 hadiths for you, and we'll start looking at what I've got this to do, I've got that appointment to do, I need to see, and I've got some guests coming, I've got this happening, and that this, and I've got this going on, I've got that going on. And here for this individual, the fact that Imam Bukhari, after all, who people would flock to hear his hadith, is going to give him and narrate 500 hadith to him, that itself was such a great honor, that had he just heard one hadith from Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi, that would be something for him. Like people knew somebody famous and you want just one selfie, and that is everything, show the whole world, I got one selfie with so and so. For this person just to have heard one hadith from Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi, that would just boost his profile and status all sky high, that he got a hadith from Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi. And Imam Bukhari narrated 500 hadiths to him out of that happiness that he forgave him. That was a time wherein people valued the hadith. So, and when we have the Khatm Bukhari, it is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 or so hadith at all. From the over the 5,000 hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, it is just the last hadith, the one hadith that is mentioned, and that too such a great auspicious hadith as well. Khair, anyhow, as I was mentioning to you, coming back to the actual tafsir itself, with regards to where Allah Ta'ala will say that وَلَقَدْ أَضَلَّ مِنْكُمْ جِبِلًا كَثِيرًا فَلَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْقِلُونَ. The shaitan has misled a large group from you. Did you not have the intelligence to understand? Is هَذِي جَهَنَّمُ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُعَادُونَ. This is the Jahannam about which you were warned. So this is something that we have been warned of. This is great bounty of Allah Ta'ala, but it is a matter of those who make this dunya something for the akhirah, or in the case of you just keep this dunya as dunya. This is where we diverted from. إِسْلَوْهَا الْيَوْمَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. Enter it today, because بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ, because of the kufr you had committed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, enter Jahannam now. And this Jahannam is because of that which you had done here in this world. So whatever we do here, we will see the rewards of it in the hereafter. We will not see the rewards of it here. And had we seen the rewards of it here, then there would be no test at all. Every person would flock to the masjid, everybody would be there for every salat, every ibadat, every opportunity, they would be there. Why? So that they could get the reward of it. So, إِسْلَوْهَا الْيَوْمَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ الْيَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَى أَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ وَتَشْهَدُ أَرْجُلُهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Allah Ta'ala says, الْيَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَى أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. On this day we shall seal their mouth. وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ. Their hands will speak. وَتَشْهَدُ أَرْجُلُهُمْ. And their legs will testify بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ, to what they earned, meaning the sins that they had done. In one hadith, Anas radiallahu ta'ala mentions that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we were sat with Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of a sudden, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a big smile. And to that extent that we could see his molars. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked the Sahaba, do you know why I'm laughing for and smiling for? They said, no. So he says that on the day of Qiyamah, a person will come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he will say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, I want justice today. I want justice and I want to be dealt with justly. So when that is the case, I want that my matter is dealt with by myself. I mean, I don't want any other witnesses. Don't want any other witnesses. I will be on the docks and I'll be the one who will be taking my own case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, fine, and give him that opportunity. And immediately what will happen? A seal will be put over his mouth. And when the seal will be put over his mouth, then what will happen is that his organs will start to speak. And his own organs will give testimony against him, after which he will curse his own organs. That look, I was trying to fight in your favor, and instead ulta ho gaya. Instead the opposite, instead I was trying to fight in your favor, and instead you fighting against me. I wanted, never mind, I don't want any other witnesses at all. And when that's the case, then I'll fight for my own self. But instead you're the one who's putting myself into destruction. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam smiled on that. Another riwayat is mentioned that on the day of Qiyamah a believer will be called by Allah Ta'ala and he'll come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Others won't know what's going on. And Allah Ta'ala will remind and say to him that, did you not commit so and so sin on so and so day? And the believer will say, and he will admit and he will say yes. He will admit and he will say yes. Allah Ta'ala will say to him, I had concealed that sin of yours in the world, so I concealed that here as well. Go and I have forgiven you. I concealed it in the world, so now I concealed it here as well. But the believer will do what? He will acknowledge that yes, he committed that sin. Allah Ta'ala will forgive him. Then Nabi Kareem mentions that a hypocrite, he will be called. And when he will be called, and when he will be, meaning a disbeliever, and when the disbeliever will be summoned and said that did you commit so and so sin and so day, he will say no. He will say no. And when the angels will give testimony, the person will say that no, the witnesses, the angels are what? They are lying. You see, they are lying. That's all a setup. And everything's been arranged. And there is fixing going on here. So that this believer will do what? They will reject it, deny it. And they will say that the angels are making it up, the angels are lying. That's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will then, because they will be lying themselves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put a seal on their tongues. Meaning not allowing themselves to speak. So Allah Ta'ala says, الْيَوْمَ نَخْتُمُ عَلَىٰ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. Because in other ayahs mentioned that their own tongues will speak. Meaning they won't have control over their own tongue, the tongue will speak. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put a seal over their mouth, and then وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ. The hands will speak instead. And the hands will give testimony. That which they will say, no, the hands did not commit this sin. The own hands will give testimony that yes, they had committed this sin. وَتَشْهَدُ أَرْجُلُهُمْ. Where they went to as well, their legs will also testify بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ, to what they had earned of that which they had done. So it shows us that our own limbs and our organs on the day of Qiyamah will become what witnesses against the wrong that a person does. The Kiram and Katibin write the wrongs that we do. And the earth and the land, the place and the spot wherein we disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will also give testimony against us on the day of Qiyamah. So وَإِذَا الصُّحُفُ نُشِرَتْ, the suhuf, books will be there. The Kiram and Katibin will be writing as well. And where we commit the sin, that will also be recording. This we have your CCTV. And that does what the CCTV does what? It records and it gathers and it keeps the data. All the data will be stored. All the data will be stored. And again, technology. In the past, people will wonder that how can everything be stored, but now you see yourself on a small single stick itself, how much memory is stored on it. So, insan's entire life to be stored, that is nothing at all in the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that suhuf, you think to yourself that there's a suhuf on, how big can those books be for everything to be written on it? Look at the amount of files you have on a small pen drive. Isn't it? Small thing you have, just small thing, and some will be so small even. And on that itself, a person will say, well, how much can you put inside there? You can't even put one piece of paper and fold that up, but that don't fit in it. But never mind that one piece of paper, you will have what? Files and files and files and files that are stored on that small stick. So, for our whole life's data to be stored in the hereafter, that is absolutely nothing at all. It is nothing, neither will it take up so much space either. So this is the plight of those who did wrong here in this world, that our organs will give testimony on the day of Qiyamah. And then Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ لَتَمَسْنَا عَلَىٰ أَعْيُنِهِمْ فَاسْتَبْقُوا الصِّرَاطَ فَأَنَّا يُبْصِرُونَ. If we wished, then we could have wiped out their eyes, due to which فَاسْتَبْقُوا الصِّرَاطَ, that they will then run to the path, فَأَنَّا يُبْصِرُونَ. But how will they see? Meaning without vision. That if he wanted to, some Mufassirin mention that this refers to the physical sight, that one of the great bounties of Allah Ta'ala is the sight that Allah Ta'ala has given us. Imagine if Allah Ta'ala didn't give us sight, then we'd be all over the place. We wouldn't be able to get to where we would need to. And the other is that of the purport, which is from the verses here, is with regards to Hidayat. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He wished, we could have wiped out their eyes, فَاسْتَبَقُوا الصِّرَاطَ, so they would then run to find the path. فَأَنَّا يُبْصِرُونَ. But how will they see without this vision of Iman? And وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ مَسَخْنَاهُمْ عَلَىٰ مَكَانَتِهِمْ. If we wish, we could distort them, لَمَسَخْنَاهُمْ, distort them physically. Meaning as how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had turned others into swines, into monkeys and that. عَلَىٰ مَكَانَتِهِمْ, whereas they stand, فَمَسْتَطَاعُوا مُضِيًّا وَلَا يَرْجُونَ. And they will be unable to go ahead, meaning walk forwards, or la yarjun, to return, meaning backwards. Means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could disfigure insan as well, by which then, and change him in such a manner that he wouldn't be able to even focus or be able to walk in a certain manner or certain direction even, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to. And these are also from the great bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, if Allah ta'ala wanted, we'd be standing on our heads. We walk in our hand on, and on the day of Qiyamah, the disbelievers will be walking on the face. And the hadith, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, how is that possible? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that those, how Allah ta'ala has given us the ability to walk on our feet, in the same way Allah ta'ala will make it possible that they will walk on their face on the day of Qiyamah. This will be outward humiliation, in order to, as a form of disgrace, that they will be disfigured in such a manner. And these are from those things that we as believers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has safeguarded us from. And that is as long as we remain steadfast on our deen. And again, as I mentioned, that on the day of Qiyamah, وَمْتَازُ الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ, then there is going to be the believers, but from the believers there's going to be the various stages, the various positions of the believers as well. So, as long as we have Iman, Allah has given Iman, we'll be saved from this plight that Allah Ta'ala mentions. But then when it comes to that of the believers, then we don't want to be from the lowest of the believers, those who are now sweating it out and those who are in hardship and difficulty. We want that we are in a good situation, good plight in the hereafter. Allah Ta'ala grant us all understanding and tawfiq. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.